Bill Seng, this is Bill. Everyone say hi, Bill. Bill started at a church in our fellowship in January of this year. This church is also sort of new to our fellowship, okay? This is the Findlay Grace Brethren Church. Now, some of you might have been around in the fellowship long enough to remember that there was a Grace Brethren Church in Findlay, but the Findlay Grace Brethren Church, once upon a time, became a conservative Grace Brethren Church. And last year, the Findlay Grace Brethren Church decided to come back and rejoin the Charis fellowship. There were a variety of reasons for that, one of which, if we can be humble brag a little bit, was because they wanted to work with Assist Church Expansion, and we said, we only work with Charis Fellowship churches. We don't work with conservative Grace Brethren churches. And they thought, well, maybe it was worth rethinking their position and where they had been to come back into our family. So it's an old new church in our fellowship, and Bill is a brand new pastor in our fellowship right up the road in Findlay. Bill, why don't you share a little bit about what the first 6 months at Findlay have been like for you?
Oh man, yeah, the first 6 months have been really exciting, and what's been really amazing about it, though, in a few weeks I'm going to be preaching on a passage that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, so pray to the Lord of the harvest to send workers. And I really feel that's what God's been doing in Findlay, and just the partnership we have with Assist, and just the elders on our board and the people already at the church, it's all worked together in just a way, even before I came on board at Findlay Grace Brethren Church, to just to see the fertile land on this small plot in Findlay, Ohio. And so I started in January, but prior to that, I was working with Bart and with Ed about strategizing how to relaunch this church and how to get it revitalized. And starting off, I mean, there was a lot of big things that we had to do because it's a very traditional church and it's in a very blue-collar neighborhood. And we're starting in January, which is a challenge in itself because we're in Ohio, and let's face it, it's freezing cold outside. And also, that one of the main ministry tools that God has given us at our church is this big old field right next to the church. I'm this part of the church property. And, my family and I, we were really excited about that because we thought, man, once it gets a little bit warmer, we'll be able to start taking advantage of this because there's just children all over the place in Findlay, Ohio, well, in this area of Findlay, Ohio. And what's been really cool is that we've been able to, not only that, my goodness, God is, like I said, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few, and the Lord has just really provided in just such an amazing way, because not only is there a big old field next to us, there's also an elementary school next to us, and we're right in the middle of a neighborhood. And so our strategy from the get-go was, you know what, we need to grab a football or a frisbee and go out to that field after school one day and just start tossing around. And sure enough, kids just started coming out. And it's been really incredible to see that, particularly with my wife. My wife and my kids, I made it clear to them from the get-go, you guys are part of this team as well. This is part of your ministry as well. And so as I'm doing Bible studies with the adults inside of the church, my wife, she's out there playing with the kids, and she's bringing the kids in, and she'd come in with like a dozen kids, and she's teaching the Bible to them now. And my goodness, Bart, I don't even know where to go. There's so much that's happened out there. And
yeah, well, let me pause you there because my clock is ticking. You guys should get to know Bill. One of the things that I've admired about Bill is that he's a complete sponge when it comes to trying to figure out what to do to make an impact. Just to give you a little bit of perspective. On your first Sunday at the church, less your family, how many people were in the church that called you to this church?
You said including family or no?
Not including your family.
6.
6. Okay. I was there 3 weeks ago, and there were over 50 people in attendance on that Sunday morning. And Bill baptized 10 of those kids that he and his wife had met in the neighborhood. The best phone call that I got in the weeks leading up to that was Bill calling me and saying, we tested the baptismal, and it still holds water. Because the truth is, this church had not baptized people in a long, long time, and they didn't even know now we did have a little bit of a flooding incident on that Sunday.
Yes,
morning.
that was scary.
It was a little scary, but we solved that one pretty quickly. But it was just amazing. The life in the church has completely changed. We haven't even really started the revitalization process, and it's clear that God is already working in this church. And I told Nathan, when Nathan presented this partnership possibility to me, I'll be honest, I said, this is dumb. I'll be honest. I'll just tell you exactly where I was. And Ed will testify to this because I said the same things to Ed. Nathan is setting us up to fail. We're trying to prove to our fellowship that we can actually walk alongside churches and help them revitalize and thrive. And the people in this church are cranky and they're stubborn. And they told us everything that they weren't willing to change in the church before we got started. And I did not pray and fast over this one. I told Nathan it was a dumb idea, God it was a dumb idea, and Ed it was a dumb idea, and I said, we'll never even find a pastor for this church. And I stand before you, humbly admitting that God is bigger than Bart, and Bart can sometimes be dumb. So, amen? Can I get an amen on that? So, Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Could I just add one more thing?
Yes.
Something that has amazed me beyond my comprehension is just how many people have come up to me during this conference and said that we've been praying for you. And my goodness, that's so vital. And also one of the people at the church, I don't want to call him members yet. He's going to be a member, but he mentioned about this book right here, and he said he actually mentioned to Bart when he came into town that he likes it that the book's title starts with praying, and this whole thing about prayer with our church is so vital. And I mean, yesterday I learned I don't want to take up too much more time, but at the solo pastors session that we're not inadequate, that we are inadequate, but we're not alone. And this prayer ministry that's going on, even before I got there, even before these guys knew who I was, it's so vital. So continue praying for the churches for revitalization.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that.